So we talk about manipulation tactics here, and negging is a manipulation tactic, which hopefully is going to the wayside, but we need to talk about it enough to where when you see it, you leave these MFers where they're standing. So this man posted this in the seduction subreddit. He says, "Why does negging not work for me, even though I'm considered good looking by women? Because you're disrespectful, a-hole." He says, "I'm considered above average by women in the looks department, and I don't say anything too insulting, but yet whenever I nag, I get called an a-hole and or women just look annoyed and dip. That's the energy. Keep having that energy. I don't care what these people look like. Leave when they get disrespectful. Bounce on their butts." All right, y'all. Let's look at some of these comments. Section 1 says, "Yeah, because you're coming across just as an a-hole, dude. The main pickup artist gurus all make it very clear that if you're coming across as an a-hole, then you're doing negging wrong. Negging is something men and women have done to those they find attractive since forever, but the whole point is to clearly come across as friendly and not actually mean." And I'm just reading this so y'all could see how these men talk to each other. So this is a quote from the book. Neil Strauss, in his book, Rules of the Game, also stresses that the primary point of the technique is to not put women down, but for a man to disqualify himself as a potential suitor. On this account, he refers to negs as disqualifiers, although the technique described in the book is recognizably the same as von Markowitz. Strauss is equally clear that negs should not be used as insults. A disqualifier should never be hostile, critical, judgmental, or condescending. There's a line between flirting and hurting, and disqualification is never intended to be mean and insulting. How you say something matters as much as what you say. Some people are just more likely to come across as unfriendly or a-holes, but that's something you can work on. You can work on your facial expressions and your body language. You can practice and work on your delivery. Do it in the mirror and practice small talk with random people everywhere. The first step is acknowledging the things you need to work on. But yeah, negging is not the best way to cold approach and pick up women. It requires a lot more charm and social skills, and any woman you could pick up by negging, you could get by not negging. Negging is better for two people who have actually talked to each other before. The best advice for most men is to keep it direct and simple. If a woman finds you physically attractive enough and you're confident and come across as good natured and letting her know you are interested in hooking up, then you are set. Why don't they ever just tell these men to be better people? Like be supportive. Why does it have to be practicing in the mirror your lines? Why can't it just be like be decent? That's never their advice. This male loneliness epidemic is going to continue and they deserve it. So let's look at some more comments. Stiltskin says, "Real negs were done for 9 or 10 women, like the rating 9 or 10 women. Negs is not about insulting either." Day Game Code says, "Because negging doesn't work for anybody. It's an outdated and counterproductive technique, which maybe once worked with really drunk, insecure girls that could have even been pulled without negs anyway. You are there to bring positive emotions and use those emotions to escalate, not piss people off or insult them. It's not the 1990s anymore, dude. 30 years have passed since that technique was introduced, and the context and culture is now way different." See, look, he got some sense. But the thing is like there I don't know why they ever thought that this was a good idea. Why could they just never be decent? Numerous ad says negging is over. Girls aren't buying this BS anymore. Guys, no offense, but the value of peen has gone way down. So that coupled with low-key insults is a one-way ticket to nowhere. Too effing bad says, "Like music to my ears. That type of manipulative behavior should not be tolerated. Absolutely. Women need to be annoyed and dip like they have been doing to the good looking man." Gary Oak says, "Because you're trying too hard." Nibble on Nectar says, "It's not 1999. Saw is dating says negging women is for very specific situations with very specific women who are extremely hot and think they're better than everyone else. It's to put them down a peg when they're used to guys kissing their butts, so you'll stand out from the rest. Just stop. Otherwise, don't use negs because you'll piss people off, especially if you don't know how to use it well. Use push, pull, or teasing instead. Like literally, still just not be a decent person who is worthy of having a relationship. These people just will never learn. Anyways, y'all, join the conversation. I'm done with this negging stuff. I'm glad that, some of them are recognizing that negging isn't working, but I want y'all to know what this is basically to like low key insult you to make you think that, your self-esteem was just a bit too high and that you need to bring it down low. Like when there is a can of damaged goods or something and the store discounts it because it's damaged. They're trying to get you to have less self-esteem, be less secure so that you accept them and all of their flaws and their insecurities. Absolutely not. We're not going for this anymore. All right, y'all. Join the conversation. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. We're going to continue to talk about boundaries and pouring into the people who have poured into you. She wonders, this woman wonders if she's the a-hole for refusing to help pay for my younger brother's college because my dad never saved up for him. This just goes back to how some of these parents want to offshore their responsibilities to the older child. And the answer is absolutely not. You're not the a-hole just based on that title alone. So she's 26. She says, I graduated from college a couple of years ago. I worked my butt off to get through school, juggling scholarships, loans, and part-time jobs to pay for everything on my own. My dad, a 55-year-old man, remarried when I was 18, and I have a half brother who's 17, who's about to graduate high school. Recently, my dad asked if I could help out with my brother's college expenses because he and his wife didn't save up for it. He said I should be able to afford it now because I have a full-time job and because I got lucky with scholarships. It would only be fair if I helped my brother since family helps family. I love my brother, but I told my dad I can't be responsible for his education, especially when I had to figure out everything on my own. My dad didn't give me any financial support during college, so I don't see why it's suddenly my responsibility now. He got mad, called me selfish, and now both my stepmom and brother are giving me the cold shoulder. I feel guilty because my brother has nothing to do with this, but at the same time, I just started my career and I'm trying to build a life of my own. Am I the a-hole for saying no to helping pay for my brother's education? Absolutely not. This is not your responsibility. You haven't gotten a footing, a foundation on your adult life. You're newly an adult yourself. It is not your role to take up the financial responsibility for a child that you didn't consent to having, that you didn't participate in making. It is not your responsibility. These grown adults that had this child need to hold their own nuts. And the brother, just like you, if he wants to go to college, he will have to figure it out just like you had to figure it out. Nobody did the things for you and you figured it out and you got through it. The people that make a way out of no way come out hopefully on the other side stronger for it. And if he's not the type that's going to be able to make a way out of no way, even though he was born male, and remember that males are natural and most logical leaders, then maybe between him and his dad and his his mother, they just gonna have to figure it out. Okay, so some of the comments. Bimodal Shrimp says, that is not your responsibility. That's on your dad and his wife. It's crazy that they're expecting you to pay for your brother. Kirby Witch says, we only had so much saved for our kids. After my son used his money, scholarships, and grants, he had a few school loans from university. My husband and I are paying them off. We told him we would. I cannot imagine asking a child to take on the responsibility of paying the way for my other child. I just don't get it. Fireball says, yeah, my parents lived very frugally all my life to pay for our school. Mom's bowling buddies asked her how they afforded it, and she replied that you have to have priorities. She only bowled 1 year, no vacations. My siblings and I started working as soon as it was legal. OP's brother needs to get a job and ask the OP how she got her scholarships. The affectionate poet says, I've read several times lately about Redditors OP's age who are expected to contribute generously towards siblings' weddings because family. That's a new one for me. Over Cranberry says, agreed. If I could banish any phrase in the world, it would be family helps family, mostly because it seems so often said to someone who busted their butts to get where they are by parents or other relatives who have done nothing to help them and now expect to lay off their responsibilities onto the person who made good decisions and worked hard. Absolutely. And Montez says, not the a-hole. They see you as someone earning money with no children. Not cool. But you are just starting, so do what you need to do for you. And the OP responded with, that's exactly what I thought as well. He thinks I don't have any children, so money that I earned should be invested in my brother's college when it was his job to do so. Absolutely not. That is not your job. Highly Improbable says, I'm sorry your family sees you as a commodity to exploit rather than a person. You're not the a-hole. Their reaction says it all. All right, y'all. We're going to end it with that. Obviously, not the a-hole. This is where, once again, we're going to bring the message back. Have boundaries and pour into the people who have poured into you. At some point, these people have to understand that is their responsibility. That's your brother, not your child. You did not have a child. That is not your responsibility. Y'all join the conversation. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. This has got to be one of the saddest Reddit posts I have come across. And this is one of the reasons why I am so pro-choice. I do not want women having babies that they do not want because they will regret it for their lives and become resentful. And those children will be traumatized and damaged when they find out that their mother did not want them. She says, I gave up my kid. I just need to vent. While I'm hunting for a new therapist, I thought I would share my story. I never wanted kids. Not once in my life did I ever have any remote desire for it. I don't have a single natural motherly instinct in me, and I never have. I terminated a pregnancy in my 20s thanks to a supportive partner at the time respecting this about me. It wasn't fun, but it further cemented my fears and natural aversion to having kids. I had made the right choice and would do it again if need be. Before I married my ex, I made sure we established that boundary loud and clear. He had always known my stance on having kids was a big never. But before we married, I told him, you have to be okay with my decision if it happens. He agreed wholeheartedly, telling me he would always respect my life, my body, and my choices. Fast forward to the day I found out I was pregnant. I had taken plan B and it didn't work. Stupid mistake that I tried to prevent. So, of course, I asked him for his support through another traumatic time. I was terrified and upset. Now, before we move forward, I do want to remind ladies that Plan B has a weight limit. So if you're going to use Plan B, make sure that you look at what the weight limit is, because if it doesn't, it might not work if you need to take two because of the weight limit for the pill. Cue the big surprise as if my words, my plans, my life were never even heard. He sped home and fawned over me, told me how happy he was. We were going to have a baby. I told him I wasn't keeping it, reminded him that that was never going to be my life, and he knew this. I was in my mid-20s at the time, so I should have had a better head on my shoulders, but I was not very educated. I was abandoned as a teen and dealt with a lot of trauma and fear of authority. When he told me he was going to sue me if I terminated, I believed him. When he told me that because I had been hospitalized in the past due to my mental health, it would be easy to have me institutionalized and take the baby, I believed him. When he told me he would kick me out on the street with nowhere to go, I believed him. When he had his family show up to my home to make sure I wasn't going to hurt myself or the baby, I did nothing. I begged my mom several times to help me get to terminate in secret. She was the only person I could think of who would help me. But because I didn't tell her right away that I didn't want this, she was too I'm sorry, she said she was too attached to her grandchild already and urged me to follow through with the pregnancy. I did my best with accepting my worst nightmare. I had a beautiful child who I loved immediately. I woke up every single night at all times of the day for the baby. My ex husband refused to help. I stayed home with the baby while he pretended to be at work, opting to hide at his friends' houses because he has secretly quit his job. We lost two apartments within the first year of having our child because he hid months of not paying rent. I could have helped, but he wouldn't allow our child to go to a daycare so young. But it didn't stop him from further wrecking my self esteem by calling me lazy, telling me I had no work ethic, and convincing me that I wasn't a good person or mother. Now, y'all, he wouldn't allow them to take the baby to daycare, but he would allow them to be evicted because he didn't pay the rent. That is the thought processes of these people. When ladies, when you want to be child free, I don't know what to say. She made her boundaries clear and she didn't stick with it. She feared this man and now she's stuck with this baby and this man, and she did not want to have a baby. This is so wild how these people do these child free women. She said she didn't have a motherly bone in her body, and he coerced her into having this baby, and then he's denigrating her by saying she's not a good person or a good mother. That is like, are we living in upside down world? Okay, so let's continue. Even as I type this out, I cannot believe this has happened to me. This doesn't seem real to admit, and I don't think I will ever heal. I did my best as my kid grew older. We divorced when they were 3, they're now 7. I crawled my way into independence over the span of several years, beating all of the odds, and I continued to do my best. I became the secondary parent after our divorce due to not having anywhere stable to live. As the years progressed, I felt more and more disconnected from my child. They got older and less interested in the time we spent together. Every weekend was full of confusion, loneliness, and chaos as I tried to keep up with how to mother a child alone. Over time, it's as if my kids slowly took the shape of everything I had been put through, and I found it harder to be a kind and loving mother. But in reality, I had never been a kind and loving mother. I tolerated this new life, but I am tired, and my child deserves a loving mother and someone else. I simply don't know how anymore. My life has been ruined by heartache. Heartache for the loss of the life I wish that I had. Heartache for a beautiful, innocent kid who doesn't deserve this hole I've left in their heart. Heartache for my failure. Heartache for losing my chance to have a relationship with this child. I don't even know how to finish this. I don't know what comes next. I just hope they can forgive me someday. I tried very hard to not bring a kid into this painful world. I really tried. So I didn't do any of the comments because she wasn't there to get advice. She just wanted to vent. And I just cannot, for the life of me, understand why men would want to just just put their sperm and have a baby with somebody like this. And I'm not even saying that in a bad way. She knew that she didn't want to have a child, but regardless of what she wanted wasn't enough for that man. He had to go ahead and just impose his will. What is it about some of these people that make them want to dominate women? It's like, what kind of life are you trying to make for everybody involved? This woman is damaged. That child is going to be traumatized. No matter what, that child is going to have a hole in their heart based on the fact that their mother didn't want them. Their mother rejected them. It's just cruelty all around. And I can't imagine being the man that's perfectly fine with making sure that, this child is left with a woman that didn't want to be a mother, that's making sure that, that doesn't care that they're becoming homeless, that there's no money available. What kind of, ladies, be okay with your decisions and staying away from these people. And if you are in a state that is trying to restrict your reproductive freedoms, try to find somewhere else or some kind of way to get out of that state. Find some kind of way to get permanently sterilized, because this sounds like a nightmare. This sounds like nightmare fuel. Join the conversation. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.
Come on, players. Stop hating. Stop hating. Start participating. Start participating, Star. Come on, twinkle, twinkle, baby. Twinkle, twinkle.